Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a closer look at the normal type Pokemon available in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and ranking them accordingly. Going in alphabetical order, the first Pokemon we will be looking at today is Arboliva. Arboliva is a normal and grass type Pokemon with the Seed Sower and Harvest abilities. Seed Sower causes Arboliva to set up grassy terrain upon being hit by an attack. Harvest causes Arboliva to have a 50% chance to recover its consumed berry at the end of each turn, increased to a 100% chance during harsh sunlight. Arboliva's stats are fairly good. Decent bulk, good special attack, its speed stat can function quite well under Trick Room. The typing of normal and grass isn't exactly spectacular though, not great offensively or defensively, but could find value in the right team comp. Taking a look at its moves, there are some very interesting choices here. Offensively, you've got a number of stab grass type moves to choose from. Stab Hyper Voice, which could activate a throat spray item, which could be quite strong. Earth Power is a great coverage move alongside normal type coverage. Dazzling Gleam is a nice spread type move as well. Pollen Puff, Strength Saps, Leech Seed, Substitute all lend themselves very well to a more defensive, supportive set, which is pretty neat. All things considered, I wouldn't expect this to be among the strongest Pokemon in the format, but I feel confident that Arboliva belongs in the B tier. Next up is Blissey. Blissey is a pure normal type with the Natural Cure, Serene Grace, and Healer abilities. Natural Cure allows Blissey to heal itself of any status conditions upon being switched out. Serene Grace doubles the chance of secondary effects on moves used by Blissey. Healer gives Blissey a 30% chance at the end of each turn to heal its ally Pokemon of status conditions if it has one. Healer is a really bad ability. Even if your ally has a status condition, you will likely go multiple turns before it gets cured. Natural Cure is quite nice, specifically allowing you to remove the badly poisoned status condition. Serene Grace is definitely the most interesting of the abilities. Blissey has a rather unique stat spread. Massive base HP stat of 255 and then 10 attack and defense. Low special attack and great special defense, low speed. Blissey is incredibly strong against special attackers, but its defense stat is abysmal, requiring full investment to even be passable. Taking a look at its moves, it actually learns a lot of moves with secondary effects like Thunder, Blizzard, or Flamethrower. It additionally learns 3 great healing moves in Heal Pulse, Life Dew, and Soft Boiled. Chilling Water and Icy Wind are great utility moves, and there is also the combination of Sing and the move Gravity, which grounds all Pokemon and lowers their evasiveness by 2 stages for 5 turns, and Sing, which will have about 92% accuracy during Gravity. All things considered, I think Blissey's lack of offensive power combined with its extremely poor defense stat lands Blissey in C tier. There's definitely some potential here. I'm personally kind of interested in trying Ice Terra type Blissey in a Hail team with Serene Grace Blizzard, but I have no delusion of that actually being good. Next up is Braviary. Braviary is a normal and flying type, which as normal type combinations go is one of the better ones for sure. Its abilities are Keen Eye, Sheer Force, and Defiant. Keen Eye prevents enemies from lowering its accuracy. Sheer Force increases the damage of moves with secondary effects by 30% in exchange for losing those secondary effects. And Defiant increases its attack stat by 2 stages upon its opponent lowering one of its stats. Braviary's stats are fairly average. Higher HP stat, good attack stat, defense is okay, and speed is okay. Looking at its moves and its abilities, we're primarily looking at a Pokemon to set Tailwind and then hit for high flying, normal, and fighting type damage. Using the Sheer Force ability, Braviary could pack a decent punch with moves like Body Slam, Rock Slide, Iron Head, and Zen Headbutt, but primarily it will run Brave Bird alongside Close Combat with Tailwind and Protect using the Defiant ability. While not the best Tailwind user in the format, it's got some high damage potential and some decent bulk, so I believe Braviary belongs in the B tier. Next up is Chansey. We're not going to spend as much time on Chansey as there are only a few differences between its evolution, Blissey. First off, Chansey can hold the Eviolite item, as it is not a final evolution, boosting its defense and special defense stats by 50%. This really helps with its poor defense stat, allowing Chansey to reach a much more comfortable defense stat, and more than makes up for its slightly lower defensive stats. Chansey's special attack stat is quite a bit lower than Blissey, so it will rely a bit heavier on special moves and secondary effects and supportive moves. Looking at its moves, they are roughly the same as Blissey. I would imagine Seismic Toss being its more reliable offensive move, dealing a set 50 damage. Icy Wind and Chilling Water also are nice options. Helping Hand is a great move to maintain offensive value without being able to threaten much offensive damage itself. Similar to Blissey, I think Chansey finds itself in the C tier as well. Stronger in some areas, weaker in others. I wouldn't expect Chansey to find a ton of success this generation, especially now that it no longer learns Minimize and there are no good Pokemon that learn Guard Split at the moment. Okay, next up we've got Cyclizar, a normal and dragon type Pokemon. Its abilities are Shed Skin and Regenerator. Shed Skin gives Cyclizar a 30% chance at the end of each turn to cure itself of a status condition. Regenerator causes Cyclizar to heal for 1/3 of its health upon switching out. Its stats are pretty poor except for its speed stat. Shed Tail causes the user to lose half of its health to set up a substitute and then immediately switch out to a different Pokemon of your choice. This is a great option to get a safe switch into a different Pokemon. This also pairs very nicely with its Regenerator ability, allowing it to heal off most of the damage taken. Due to Cyclizar being so fast, however, this highly limits the potential of this move, as Cyclizar will likely move before the opponents, leaving the substitute to be broken on the same turn. Shift Gear causes the user to gain +1 attack and +2 speed. It's a move that hasn't seen much distribution and is quite powerful. Unfortunately, Cyclizar already has extremely high speed, so it doesn't have a ton of use for the +2 speed boost. I really wanted this Pokemon to be good, but due to its lower power and the combination of high speed with the move Shed Tail, I think I will actually place Cyclizar in the C tier. I might be undervaluing it a bit here. It could be B tier material, but I'm just not sure it can get enough value as it is right now. Next up is a very quick one, Ditto. Ditto is a pure normal type Pokemon with the Limber and Imposter abilities. Limber prevents Ditto from being paralyzed, and Imposter causes Ditto to instantly transform into the Pokemon opposite of it upon being sent out. Ditto's stats are almost entirely irrelevant. Its HP is the primary stat of note, as when it transforms, it retains its HP stat. Additionally, its speed stat could be relevant if you opt to use Limber instead of Imposter, which is not ideal. Ditto, of course, only learns Transform, so nothing huge going on there. When you transform into another Pokemon, you retain your health, but gain all of their stats, moves, their ability, and stat changes. This could be a neat way to take advantage of Pokemon which opt to boost their own stats. The problem, of course, being that upon copying them, you are now identical, leading to a speed tie, which is far from ideal. This is why Choice Scarf is usually the item of choice, allowing you to copy your opponent's strongest Pokemon and then use the Choice Scarf item to outspeed, and use their own Pokemon to sweep them. Ditto has seen the most success in formats with legendary Pokemon being allowed, and doesn't find much value in formats like we have currently, so while it does have some potential, I'd say C tier should be a fair place to put Ditto. I wouldn't expect to run into this Pokemon very frequently. Next up we have Dudunsparce, a pure normal type with the Serene Grace, Runaway, and Rattled abilities. We've already gone over Serene Grace. Runaway has no effect in battle, and Rattled boosts its speed stat upon being hit by Dark, Bug, and Ghost type attacks, or being intimidated. Serene Grace is definitely the ability to consider here. Its stats are actually pretty decent. Great HP stat and okay attack, defense, and special defense stats. Speed stat is low, but is in a good range to take advantage of both Tailwind and Trick Room, which is pretty valuable. Looking at its moves, it learns some pretty epic moves like Headbutt and Rock Slide, with a 30% chance to flinch, which becomes a 60% chance to flinch with Serene Grace. Rock Slide hitting both opponents. That's pretty disgusting if you ask me. Its signature move, Hyper Drill, is a 100 base power normal type move, which penetrates and breaks an enemy's protect, dealing full damage and leaving them vulnerable to further attacks. It also learns both Tailwind and Agility to increase its own speed, as well as Glare to paralyze enemies with 100% accuracy, even ground types, reducing their speed by 50%. Additionally, it learns Curse to boost its attack and defense and lowering its speed. Perfect for Trick Room. This Pokemon definitely has counterplay and relies heavily on moving first to get value, but its access to Tailwind gives it significant reliable value. I'm putting the Dunsparce in A tier. Next up is its pre-evolution Dunsparce, which now that it can evolve into Dudunsparce, means it can use the Eviolite item, which actually allows it to become quite bulky. Its stats are a good bit lower than Dudunsparce, but it will be bulkier holding the Eviolite item, which is important as it allows Dunsparce to focus more on defense, healing itself with Roost, paralyzing enemies with Glare, and threatening Headbutt or Rock Slide paraflinches. It doesn't learn Tailwind, and its speed stat doesn't quite allow it to get as fast as you'd like, but after paralyzing an opponent with speed investment, Dunsparce will outspeed the majority of Pokemon. The combination of Paralysis plus Serene Grace, Headbutt, or Rock Slide all but ensures that Pokemon won't move that turn. Without access to Tailwind and lacking some speed and attack, Dunsparce isn't as good as its evolution, but it could still see some success on the right team. I'm a little on the fence between placing Dunsparce in B tier or C tier. I think it could have a lot of potential, putting perhaps 156 EVs into speed, allowing it to outspeed Garchomp and anything slower after a Glare, then threatening extreme stopping power with either Headbutt or Rock Slide plus fully paralyzed chance. It will have solid bulk and can even change its type to better survive certain Pokemon to get set up. It won't be threatening hardly any damage on its own though. I think I've got to put it in the C tier as it has some serious weaknesses, but I do want to try it and see how much potential it has. Next up is Farigiraf, a normal and psychic type with the Cudchew, Armor Tail, and Sap Sipper abilities. Armor Tail protects your team from priority moves, functioning the same as Serena's Queenly Majesty or Bruxish's Dazzling. Sap Sipper causes Farigiraf to gain +1 attack upon being hit by a Grass-type move. Additionally, Grass-type moves have no effect. Its stats are pretty medium with a high HP stat and decent special attack. Looking at its move pool, it learns some solid coverage moves with Stab Psychic and Hyper Voice, in addition to Dazzling Gleam and Shadow Ball. It has good boosting options in Calm Mind and Nasty Plot, and also learns both Trick Room and Imprison. With its normal and psychic typing leaving it with a single weakness, in addition to its overall solid bulk and decent power, combined with its Armor Tail ability protecting your team from priority moves and access to Trick Room, I've got to put Farigiraf in the A tier. This Pokemon is quite strong and I would expect to see it regularly. Next up is Girafarig, which gets to use the Eevee item now that it evolves into Farigiraf. It is also normal and psychic with the Inner Focus, Early Bird, and Sap Sipper abilities. We've already covered Sap Sipper. Inner Focus prevents Girafarig from flinching and additionally protects against Intimidate, and Early Bird is an ability which hasn't been available on many Pokemon, if any, competitively viable Pokemon. This ability allows Girafarig to wake up from sleep early. If Girafarig would normally have taken 2 or 3 turns of sleep, it will instead wake up after 1 turn. If it would have normally taken 1 turn, it will instead take 0 and instantly wake up. Girafarig's stats are by no means great, but with Eviolite to help, they become a good bit better. Looking at its move pool, it has a solid balance of physical and special moves, as well as Calm Mind to boost its special attack and special defense stat. It also of course learns Trick Room and Imprison. Crucially, it also learns Rest and Sleep Talk. Rest is a move rarely used in VGC, as it takes 2 turns to wake up. With the Early Bird ability, however, it only takes 1 turn to wake up. You also always know how many turns of sleep you will take, opening up the potential for using Sleep Talk, if so desired. This allows for the option of using a special attacking set with Calm Mind and Rest, holding the Eviolite item, which could have some potential. Girafarig could also be used as a bulky physical attacker paired with a Pokemon like Meowscarada with the Petal Blizzard move to chip away at enemies and boost Girafarig's attack stat. It could have some potential. The question for this set becomes, does the increase in defense and special defense from the Eviolite outweigh the 50 HP difference from Farigiraf, slightly higher attack stat, and free item slot? I don't think it does, unfortunately. I don't think Girafarig is by any means useless, but I think it's effectively outclassed by its evolution, so I'm going to put it into C tier. I think it has the most potential with a Calm Mind special attacking set, taking advantage of its Early Bird ability. Next up is Grafaiai, a normal and poison type Pokemon with the Unburden, Poison Touch, and Prankster abilities. Unburden causes Grafaiai's speed stat to double upon using or losing its held item. This does not trigger if it has no item to begin with. Poison Touch gives its contact moves a 30% chance to poison the target, and Prankster causes status moves used by Grafaiai to have +1 increased priority, allowing them to move before the majority of other Pokemon regardless of speed stat. Its stats are quite poor with a good speed stat. Its main set will be Prankster, although there is some small potential for a weakness policy plus Unburden set Perhaps. Looking at its moves, its signature move Doodle stands out, allowing Grafaiai to copy an opponent's ability, giving it to both itself and its ally Pokemon. This is a very situational but very powerful move, specifically useful in combination with a Pokemon like Slaking, which we will get to later. It also learns great moves like Parting Shot, Taunt, Encore, as well as attacking moves like Super Fang, Knockoff, Foul Play, and Acid Spray. Due to the majority of its usefulness being tied to being used with Slaking, I'm inclined to place Grafaiai in B tier. It's strong, but it's rather specific in its capabilities. Next up is Greedent, a pure normal type with the Cheek Pouch and Gluttony abilities. Cheek Pouch causes Greedent to be healed for 1/3 of its health upon eating a berry. Gluttony causes Greedent to eat berries which trigger at 1/4 of its health at 1/2 of its health instead. I can't think of a reason to use Gluttony instead of Cheek Pouch, so just use Cheek Pouch plus Citrus Berry 99% of the time. It has a great HP stat with okay attack, defense, and special defense stats. Its speed stat is actually really good, as it speed ties Torkoal, one of the slowest and most powerful Trick Room sweepers in the game. Looking at its move pool, it's pretty clear that only two paths really exist for Greedent. Either it boosts its attack stat with Belly Drum, or it boosts its defense stat with Stuffed Cheeks. Unfortunately, Greedent doesn't learn Recycle, which seriously limits its ability to boost its defense and sustain itself with a defensive Stuffed Cheeks build. So the only build I would recommend would really be the Belly Drum set. With its Cheek Pouch plus Citrus Berry combination, Belly Drum will reduce Greedent's health to 50%, triggering its Citrus Berry, which will heal for 25% plus 33% of its HP, healing more than Belly Drum takes, potentially leaving it at full HP with +6 attack at the end of the turn. The best use for this Pokemon is likely as an anti-Trick Room Pokemon, similar to how Snorlax was used in the past, utilizing Body Slam or Facade with Stomping Tantrum or Earthquake for good overall coverage. Much to my surprise, I actually think I'm going to place Greedent in the B tier. While definitely not the best addition to any team, I think its speed stat plus bulk plus Cheek Pouch and Citrus Berry combination give it a serious niche as an anti-Trick Room Pokemon, underspeeding all but Pincurchin and speed tying with Torkoal, threatening an Oko if it wins. You could even give it a defensive Terra type to allow it to more easily survive Torkoal's eruption, threatening the Oko in return with a +6 Stomping Tantrum. Next on the list is Gumshoos, with the Stakeout, Strongjaw, and Adaptability abilities. Stakeout causes Gumshoos to deal double damage if hitting a Pokemon that just switched in. Strongjaw boosts the power of biting moves by 50%, and Adaptability increases the power of stab moves, same type attack bonus moves, by 33% for a total of 100% increased damage. Its stats aren't exceptional. It's got good HP and attack stats, but poor defense and special defense and low speed, which could allow it to thrive under Trick Room. While it does learn some good biting moves, I expect its main strength to lie in its Adaptability ability and Terastallization. With its base normal type coverage, using Terra Ground with either Stomping Tantrum or Earthquake could give it some solid sweeping power. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's quite enough, as Life Orb, Terra Ground, Earthquake doesn't even appear to be a guaranteed Oko into Torkoal, so I'm gonna have to place it in C tier. Next up is Indeedee, a normal and psychic type Pokemon with the Own Tempo, Synchronize, and Psychic Surge abilities. Own Tempo protects Indeedee from being confused and protects it from being intimidated. Synchronize causes status conditions applied to Indeedee to additionally be applied to the Pokemon which applied the status condition. And most importantly, Psychic Surge, which sets up Psychic Terrain for 5 turns upon being sent out. Indeedee's stats change slightly from its male and female forms. Nothing in particular to note here. Looking at its moves is when things become clear. It learns Follow Me, which is kind of a big deal, as it also sets up Psychic Terrain, preventing one of two options to counter Follow Me in Fake Out. In addition to this, it also learns Trick Room, Heal Pulse, Helping Hand, and Imprison. Finally, while it no longer learns Expanding Force, it still learns Psychic, which deals really high damage in Psychic Terrain. In addition to learning Stab Hyper Voice, it learns Dazzling Gleam and Shadow Ball. Indeedee isn't likely to carry a game on its own, but next to the right teammates, Indeedee is easily one of the strongest Pokemon in the format and not to be underestimated. I'm placing Indeedee in the S tier as it is the best at what it does. Next up is the one, the only Jigglypuff, a normal and fairy type Pokemon with the Cute Charm, Competitive, and Friend Guard abilities. Cute Charm causes Pokemon which make contact with Jigglypuff to have a 30% chance to become infatuated with Jigglypuff. Competitive causes Jigglypuff's special attack stat to raise 2 stages when one of its stats is lowered by an opponent. Friend Guard causes Jigglypuff's partner Pokemon to take 25% reduced damage while Jigglypuff is on the field. Jigglypuff has a great HP stat, but all its other stats are trash. Its low speed stat could, however, prove useful against or under Trick Room. Jigglypuff learns a number of solid moves, including Disable and Encore, which could be used to seriously disrupt enemy Trick Room teams, taking advantage of Jigglypuff's low speed stat. It also learns the Gravity and Sing combination, which could be absolutely devastating, not only against Trick Room teams, but in general, specifically when paired with a strong ground-type attacker. With moves like Heal Pulse, Helping Hand, and Perish Song to round out its kit, while not certainly a meta pick or anything, I feel comfortable placing Jigglypuff in the C tier as a semi-respectable choice. The combination of its high HP stat with the Eviolite item allows it to have some moderate bulk, allowing it to stay on the field and get some value. In addition to its Friend Guard ability and Helping Hand, it may even have an argument for low B tier. Probably not though. Okay. Time for the Heartbreaker, Komala, a pure normal type with the Comatose ability. Comatose causes Komala to be treated as always asleep, but continues to attack as though awake. Its stats aren't great, but its attack stat is good. Looking at its ability closer, as well as its move pool, the Heartbreaker becomes apparent. Comatose treats Komala as always being asleep. What's that, you say? Komala is a normal type, which is essentially always affected by a status condition while also being a physical attacker immune to burn? Sounds like Facade is the right answer, right? Well, Facade only gains double damage if poisoned, burned, or paralyzed, unfortunately. Sleep doesn't increase its damage at all, so Heartbreak. It's still a physical attacker that can't be burned. It learns good moves like Swords Dance, Sucker Punch, Wood Hammer, Ice Spinner, Superpower, and Body Slam, but its stats just aren't there. With Facade dealing double damage, there was an argument for B tier. Without it, it's C tier at best. Next, let's take a look at the absolute menace that is Maushold. This thing is crazy. It is a pure normal type with the Friend Guard, Cheek Pouch, and Technician abilities. We've already talked about Friend Guard and Cheek Pouch. Technician boosts the power of moves with 60 power or lower by 50%. We will come back to that later. Maushold's stats aren't great, but it has a good speed stat. Looking at its moves is where things get crazy. Population Bomb. This move has 20 power, but hits up to 10 times. It has 90 accuracy, and will essentially hit until it misses, up to 10 hits total. So essentially, 200 base power. Now that's all well and good until you realize you can put the Wide Lens item on it, boosting accuracy by 10%. 90 accuracy times 10% equals 9%. 90% plus 9% equals 99%. So essentially, this thing almost never misses, making it a near no drawback, multi-hitting 200 base power move. But wait, Maushold also has the Technician ability, so make that 200, 300. Oh, plus Maushold is a normal type, so add Stab, 450. 450 base power move. It doesn't matter what your attack stat is at this point, that thing is going to hurt. To add insult to injury, it also learns Follow Me among other supportive options like Encore, Feint, Taunt, and Helping Hand. This thing is disgusting. S tier, moving on. Next is Oinkologne, another Pokemon with slightly different stats between male and female. A pure normal type with the Lingering Aroma, Gluttony, and Thick Fat abilities. Lingering Aroma causes Pokemon which make contact to have their ability replaced with Lingering Aroma. Gluttony we've already talked about, and Thick Fat reduces the damage taken from fire and ice type attacks by 50%. Its HP stat is great. Attack stat, defense, and special defense are okay, and speed is poor. Looking at its move pool though, it really doesn't get much of any value. It learns Stuff Cheeks, but that isn't terribly effective without either Cheek Pouch or Recycle. Its attack stat isn't high enough to threaten much damage, and it has no reliable means of recovery, so it doesn't really have anything it excels at. The combination of Body Slam, Yawn, and Helping Hand with the Leftovers item is likely the best result you are likely to see with this thing. I'm going to place it in C tier as there are just better options that fill the same role like Umbreon. Oranguru is next, another normal and psychic type with the Inner Focus, Telepathy, and Symbiosis abilities. Inner Focus we've already talked about. Telepathy prevents Oranguru from taking damage from spread moves used by its partner Pokemon. Symbiosis causes Oranguru to give its held item to its partner Pokemon upon their partner using their held item. Oranguru has pretty solid all-around stats. Good HP, defense, and special defense, lower special attack, and lower speed. Looking at its moves, it's very clear where its power lies. It learns Trick Room as well as its signature move, Instruct. Instruct causes the target to use its last used move a second time, immediately. This is absolutely devastating when paired with powerful Trick Room sweepers with spread moves like Torkoal. All three of its abilities allow for great combinations, but the Inner Focus ability in particular is quite valuable in ensuring that Trick Room goes up. All in all, typing abilities and moves, Oranguru is an A tier Pokemon, only held back by its reliance on partner Pokemon for dealing high damage. Okay, next up we've got Persian, a pure normal type Pokemon with the Limber, Technician, and Unnerve abilities. Limber again makes Persian immune to paralysis, Technician boosts the power of moves with 60 power or less by 50%, and Unnerve prevents your opponent's Pokemon from eating berries. Persian's stats are bad, except for its speed stat. Looking at its moves and its stats, I think the only way to have any success with this Pokemon is running a Focus Sash set with Fake Out, Icy Wind, Snarl, and Swift, or something to this extent. You can boost the power of some of these low base power moves with cool bonus effects and do an okay amount of damage, have some speed control, but at the end of the day, Persian is far from meta. The only reason I'm not putting this in the D tier is the combination of 115 base speed with Fake Out and Icy Wind. C tier for Persian. Next up is Pyroar, a normal and fire type Pokemon with the Rivalry, Unnerve, and Moxie abilities. Rivalry increases Pyroar's damage against Pokemon with the same gender as Pyroar and decreases its damage against Pokemon with the opposite gender by 25%. Unnerve we've already talked about, and Moxie causes Pyroar's attack to increase by 1 stage upon knocking a Pokemon out. Pyroar's stats are overall fairly good, with solid special attack and speed stats. Looking at its move pool, it primarily sticks to its fire and normal type stab moves, with some solid utility moves. It also learns entrainment, which is kind of neat with its Moxie ability. Pyroar's attack stat is pretty bad, so the only reason you would ever run Moxie is if you plan to use entrainment to give it to your partner Pokemon. Overall, it's a decent fire type, hits a nice speed tier, and has some solid utility options. Certainly not the strongest pick, but I'd say it's a cut above the C tier Pokemon, so B tier for Pyroar. Sawsbuck is next, a normal and grass type with the Chlorophyll, Sap Sipper, and Serene Grace abilities. Chlorophyll will boost Sawsbuck's speed by 100% while the weather is harsh sunlight. I've already talked about the other two. Its stats are okay, nothing to get too excited about here. Its base speed of 95 allows it to outspeed a good chunk of the format, which could be important later on. Looking at its move pool, its biggest strength seems to be its access to coverage moves, which potentially gives it an edge over other Chlorophyll Pokemon like Leafeon. Additionally, its access to Stab Headbutt plus Serene Grace allows it to put a lot of pressure on Pokemon slower than it, particularly if run with the Choice Scarf item. While its attack isn't necessarily the best, I think it's fairly competitive in the roles it intends to fill. It has a unique role with the Choice Scarf Serene Grace Headbutt combination, which could be quite powerful. I think Sawsbuck makes the B tier. Okay, it's time for Slaking. Slaking is a pure normal type with the Truant ability, which prevents Slaking from moving every other turn it's on the field. Its base stats are massive to compensate for its horrible ability. Looking at its move pool, you pretty much get whatever you want. Practically get coverage moves of every type, only really missing reliable high power moves like Close Combat, but overall Slaking has a lot of tools to get the job done, and its stats more than compensate for its lack of high power moves. Additionally, Slaking can opt to use Giga Impact to take advantage of its inability to move every other turn, spending its Truant turn recharging. Slaking does rely heavily on partner Pokemon to set it up with either Skill Swap, Doodle, or other ability changing strategies, so this definitely knocked it down a peg, but I think Slaking is a solid B tier Pokemon. I think it has plenty of weaknesses and limitations, so while strong, I don't think it's A tier material, but B tier suits it just fine. Moving on, we've got Squawkabilly, a normal and flying type Pokemon with the Intimidate, Hustle, and Guts abilities. Intimidate causes Squawkabilly to reduce the attack stats of both enemy Pokemon on the field by 1 stage upon Squawkabilly switching into battle. Hustle increases Squawkabilly's attack by 50% in exchange exchange for having 20% reduced accuracy, and Guts increases Squawkabilly's attack by 50% when affected by a status condition. Additionally, this prevents the attack drop from burn. Squawkabilly's stats are by no means good, but its attack and speed stats leave some potential. Looking at its moves, Squawkabilly has some potential with a Tailwind set, either with Guts or Hustle. Guts holding Flame Orb with Facade and Brave Bird could threaten huge damage after setting up Tailwind. Hustle with Aerial Ace could also be some nice no drawback damage, good paired with a Focus Sash. Alternatively, Squawkabilly could use Intimidate with Tailwind and Parting Shot for a more defensive utility pivot Pokemon. Its stats are pretty bad, but it does have some potential here. I'm close to putting it in B tier, but its stats are just so bad. I think I'm gonna have to put it in the C tier. If its attack stat or defenses were a bit better, I could see it being quite strong, but it's just too weak in too many areas, unfortunately. Okay, Stantler is next. Stantler is a pure normal type Pokemon with the Intimidate, Frisk, and Sapsipper abilities. We've already talked about Intimidate and Sapsipper. Frisk allows you to see your opponent Pokemon's held items upon Stantler switching in. Stantler has very medium stats. Its defense and special defense are a bit on the low side, but now that Weirdeer is in the game files, Stantler is able to use the Eviolite item to boost its defense and special defense stats by 50%, giving it a much needed boost in usability. Looking at its moves, it learns Trick Room and Imprison, which is good in of itself, but it also learns Skill Swap, which opens up some interesting doors with certain Pokemon that have the Defiant and more specifically competitive abilities, allowing Stantler to give the opponent its Intimidate ability, which in turn boosts its allies' special attack by triggering competitive. Stantler is not an A tier Pokemon, but I feel like it has a lot of potential, and I think I'm going to place it in B tier. Staraptor is next, a normal and flying type Pokemon with the Intimidate and Reckless abilities. We've already talked about Intimidate, but Reckless is an ability which increases the power of moves with recoil by 20%. Staraptor has good HP and great attack, and its speed is actually quite good as well. Looking at its moves, it learns some high power attacks in Brave Bird, Double Edge, and Close Combat, and also learns Final Gambit and Tailwind. While now outclassed in its use of Final Gambit, it still has some solid potential in not only having high power stab moves, but also Tailwind and Intimidate. I'm going to place Staraptor in the B tier. 3 more Pokemon to go. Next up is Ursaring. Similar to Stantler, Ursaring is a pure normal type, which now that Ursaluna is in the game files, can now use the Eviolite held item to boost its defense and special defense by 50%. Ursaring has the Guts, Quick Feet, and Unnerve abilities. We've already talked about Guts and Unnerve. Quick Feet boosts Ursaring's speed by 50% when affected by a status condition and ignores the speed drop from paralysis. Ursaring's stats are quite good before adding Eviolite to the equation. Solid HP, great attack, and defenses aren't actually too bad. Speed stat is on the low end, but can be used under Trick Room potentially. Looking at its move pool, it has a wealth of offensive coverage moves to choose from, primarily looking at its stab normal type damage with Body Slam, and access to single target ground type damage and high horsepower. It also crucially learns Facade, which deals double damage when affected by burn, poison, and paralysis. There is something very important to note about Ursaring. Ursaring has the Guts ability, which boosts its attack by 50% when affected by a status condition. We've already gone over the tragedy of Komala, so we know that Facade doesn't benefit from sleep. However, Guts does. So something really cool that Ursaring can get away with is using Rest and Sleep Talk with the Guts ability. While asleep, Guts will boost Ursaring's attack by 50%, and also, while asleep, Ursaring will have the ability to use Sleep Talk, randomly selecting one of its other 3 moves to attack. Now obviously, this isn't ideal as there is a 33% chance you choose Rest and it fails. However, there is a 66% chance that you don't and instead use a Guts boosted Body Slam or High Horsepower on one of the opponents, which will deal a lot of damage. There's also the ability to return to Ursaring's traditional set using a Flame Orb, Guts, and Facade, which is going to deal really massive damage. This will primarily be used under Trick Room due to its poor speed stat. It also has the potential to boost its stats with Bulk Up and Swords Dance, which is extremely powerful with the Eviolite held item boosting its defenses. In summary, I think Ursaring has a lot going for it this gen. Rest plus Sleep Talk is probably a little too unreliable to use at high level unless Ursaring can simply outbulk the opponent. Rest does always cause you to sleep for 2 turns, so you can reliably choose Sleep Talk for the first 2 turns and then attack normally or use Rest again on the 3rd turn. Using Swords Dance or Bulk Up with Body Slam and High Horsepower with its raw stats is going to be hard to ignore though. I believe in this thing though. I'm a little on the fence, but I'm actually going to put Ursaring in the A tier. This thing seems like it could be an absolute monster. Okay, 2 to go. Wigglytuff is next. A normal and fairy type Pokemon with cute charm, competitive, and frisk for abilities. We've already discussed these abilities previously. Its HP stat is fantastic, the other stats are quite poor. Its speed stat lends itself a bit to Trick Room, but its special attack stat is pretty difficult to use. Looking at move pool, it learns a ton of great special attack coverage moves in addition to learning Nasty Plot, which definitely helps its cause. It has some other nice status moves, but the main reason to use Wigglytuff is its competitive ability combined with its fairy type and offensive move pool, I'd say. This is not an A tier. This is also not B tier. To be honest, I'm a little hesitant to put it in C tier given how weak Intimidate is right now, but C tier it is. It does have a niche use case. Okay, the final normal type is Zangoose. Zangoose is a pure normal type Pokemon with the Immunity and Toxic Boost abilities. Immunity prevents Zangoose from being poisoned, and Toxic Boost boosts Zangoose's attack by 50% when it is poisoned. Its HP is okay, attack is good, defenses are poor, and speed is okay. Looking at its moves, its main strength is Close Combat and Facade with Toxic Boost and Toxic Orb, but ultimately it's extremely outclassed by Ursaring in almost every way. The only thing Zangoose has on Ursaring is it's faster, so it can be used under Tailwind, and it has access to Feint, which is a neat tech move. Unfortunately, it's C tier for Zangoose. Okay, so now let's take a look at the results. We've got Indeedee and Maushold in the S tier, Farigiraf, Dudunsparce, Oranguru, and Ursaring in the A tier, Grafaiai, Arboliva, Stantler, Greedent, Pyroar, Braviary, Staraptor, Slaking, Sawsbuck in the B tier, and Cyclizar, Ditto, Squawkabilly, Oinkologne, Komala, Gumshoos, Zangoose, Dunsparce, Girafarig, Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff, Blissey, Chansey, and Persian in the C tier. Let me know how you would have ranked these normal types down in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, let me know down in the comments as well. Organizing this much information takes a lot of time, and I think it's extremely useful to take this deep of a look at Pokemon before deciding how useful they are, but I can't justify doing this unless you guys like it. So if you enjoyed, let me know so that I know to make more of these videos, and be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing as well, and I'll see you in the next one.